Hey, fifth grade. Today we ran out of time finishing a lesson, and so we're going to go over that so that you can finish up what we started at school on Tuesday, 10/6. Now, the morning class, we got all the way through this with just only needing to check the problems at the end. The afternoon class, unfortunately, we had to go take our pictures today, so we missed a little bit of math class. So, what did you do at school today? I'm going to remind you what we did in math class. All right, so you'll need to remember that we have been evaluating expressions. And remember, when we evaluate something, we are finding the value or what it's worth. And today we were talking about using grouping symbols. Now, as you recall, grouping symbols are those things called parentheses. But there are some other ones that we don't really use too much in fifth grade, and they are the brackets and the braces. But in fifth grade, we are going to focus on the parentheses. Okay, we started talking about the order of operations. Now, you might recall what the operations are: adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. And that these operations have to be done in a certain order. And what is that order? Well, we know that we would do our parentheses first, then any multiplication and division from left to right, and then adding or subtracting from left to right. We also talked about when your parents talk about order of operations, they might have remembered learning PEMDAS or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And that was just sort of a funny way to remember the order that you do these operations in. P, of course, stands for parentheses. The E, which we're not worried about right now, the exponents, because we don't have any of those, but we will later on this year. And then the M, multiplication, D, division, A, adding, and S, subtracting. So this helps us remember the order that those four operations will be done in. Now, you might remember this very mentally stimulating activity we did today where we compared some sets of numbers and we wanted to see the impact that putting these parentheses had on the answer we arrived at. And we discovered that if we are using only addition and the digits are all the same, that it really didn't affect our answer when we finished it. And that was because of the associative property of addition. And then we looked at the second set. And if you solve each of those, you're going to arrive at 24. Again, the numbers are all the same, the operations were all the same, and they were all multiplication. This was true that we arrived at the same answer because of that associative property of multiplication. The parentheses or the grouping really don't change what your product is going to be. However, when we did have mixed operations, like in set C, the placement of the parentheses did change the answer. As you remember, if we did this 3 plus 4 first and then multiplied and then added 1, we came up with 15. All right, so we're going to move on to the second part of the lesson we are working on today, and that was using these grouping symbols. And we had talked about what we want to be able to do when we finish doing this lesson. So we should be able to describe how to use grouping symbols in a numerical expression. And you remember that numerical means what? Number, yeah. And we need to be able to place parentheses so that an expression has a given value. All right, and then we sort of talked about what does that mean to stick parentheses in an expression so that it has a given value. And we looked at this problem on page 89, and we saw if we put the parentheses around 5 minus 4, and then we worked out the rest of the problem, we would come up with a value of 9. All right, so let's backtrack back to the very first problem. This is on page 87 of your workbook, and we're going to step out this problem about this girl, Justine, making jewelry. All right, so I'm going to read the problem, and remember, we want to use that close reading after we read it the first time to make sense out of it. Justine is making jewelry for her friends. She makes 4 of the bracelets shown. To determine the number of beads she needs, she writes the numerical expression. All right, so we're going to look over here at this picture, and we can see she's using 5 of these round green beads. She's using 3 of the yellow beads, and she's using 6 of these triangular shaped beads. She writes this expression 5 plus 3 plus 6 times 4. I can see where she's getting the 5 plus 3 plus 6. And then the times 4 is because she is going to make this bracelet 4 different times. So it asks us to just use the order of operations to evaluate Justin's numerical expression, just as it is. So get your whiteboards and let's write down this problem, 5 plus 3 plus 6 times 4. And let's evaluate that. Now, using the order of operations, we know that we're going to look for multiplication or division first of all, since we have no parentheses. I see that 6 times 4 over here is equal to 24. I go right beneath this operation and I write my product. Now I'm going to bring down my other operations and my other numbers. And now I have a whole new expression to evaluate. I'm going to start over here on the left. I see I have no more multiplication or division, so I'm going to do adding and subtracting from left to right. So I'm going to start out with 5 plus 3 is 8, and then add 8 to 24. I'm going to stack those two over here so that I don't make any computation error. I'm going to add 8 plus 4 and get 12, carrying my 1 and put down my 2, and then 2 plus 1 is 3. So I get a total of 32 for my answer. So I'm going to write 32 on my workbook page. All right, now so the question I am asked to answer is to determine the number of beads she needs. And this says I'm going to need 32 beads. All right, so I can see just in one bracelet she's going to need 6 plus 3 plus 5, that's 14 beads. And so I know that 14 times 4 is going to be bigger than 32. So I'm doubting that this is correct. Which part of Justine's numerical expression models the number of beads that she uses for one bracelet? Well, I can look back at the expression and see that the 5 plus 3 plus 6 is how many beads she's going to use for one bracelet. So I'm going to write that in my workbook. How can you use your answer from part B to find how many beads she needs for 4 bracelets? Well, I know if I know the answer to this, which we said was 14, I need to multiply that 14 times 4 to get the total number of beads I'm going to need for the bracelet. How many beads does she need to make 4 bracelets? Well, let me do the math. We can do 14 times 4. Now we're doing that old school method of multiplying 4 times 4, which is 16. Carry your 1 and bring down your 6. And then we're going to say 4 times 1 is 4, plus the 1 that we add to get 5. All right, so we know that we are going to need 56 beads. In part D, it says how many beads does she need to make 4 bracelets? Well, we know it is 56. How does your answer compare to the answer you found in part A? Well, it is greater than the answer that I found, 32, in part A. E asks, how can you rewrite 5 plus 3 plus 6 plus 4 with parentheses so that it models the number of beads she needs to make 4 bracelets? Well, since I know that without any parentheses, I would multiply 6 times 4 first, but I want to put my bracelets all together, my beads I need all together, I would put parentheses around the 5 plus 3 plus 6. All right, so 6 is actually a part of this part of the problem, not the 6 times 4. So when I put the parentheses around the 5 plus 3 plus 6, I would know to do this part first and then multiply by 4, which is exactly what I did in this part of the problem. And my answer is going to be 56. Okay, boys and girls, let's go on to the next page. Now in this problem, boys and girls, we see that we are using not only the parentheses, but braces, which go outside of any parentheses you have, and then these things called brackets. So if you have a set of parentheses, and then you need to group something else with a set of brackets, then you're going to group a third time if necessary with these symbols called braces. All right, so we will rarely use that many in class. We will mainly focus on parentheses, but we're going to step out this problem so that you can see what we're talking about. All right, so we start this problem off with a Mr. Finn. He makes gift boxes with 4 green bracelets, 1 gold bracelet, and 1 necklace. So he's making gift boxes with all of these things in it. It tells us that each bracelet costs $2 to make, but each necklace costs $5. He has $90 to spend on gift boxes. How can you model the number of gift boxes Mr. Finn can make using a numerical expression? All right, so first I want to wrap my head around exactly what Mr. Finn is doing. Okay, he's making these gift boxes, and he's going to be putting in bracelets and necklaces. So he's going to be putting 4 green bracelets in here. Okay, I'm just making sure I understand this. And then he's going to put 1 gold bracelet, and then he's going to put 1 necklace. And this stuff isn't free, so he's figuring out how much it costs. So these two I know are going to cost $2 for each one of those, but this bracelet's going to cost $5. All right, so okay, I think I understand this. He's got $90, so I want to know how many of these boxes he can make, and I'm going to model it with this numerical expression. So let's step it out with first the parentheses. Write an expression in parentheses to represent the total number of bracelets in one gift box. Well, I look back up here, there were 4 green and 1 gold bracelet. So I'm going to put 4 plus 1. Now the brackets, I'm going to use those when I write an expression in the brackets to represent the total cost of the bracelets in one gift box. All right, well, I know that the bracelets are going to go right here, 4 plus 1. And then I know that I'm going to put a total of 5 bracelets in. No, they cost $2 each. So there's my 5 bracelets at $2 each. And now I'm ready for the next step, using the braces. Write an expression in the braces to represent the total cost of the bracelets and the necklace in one gift box. So I go back to the beginning here. All right, the number of bracelets I have will be represented by the 4 plus 1 in parentheses. They are going to cost $2 each. And then I have this 1 necklace, which is going to cost $5. So I'm just going to put that right there. Write and evaluate an expression to show how many gift boxes Mr. Finn can make for $90. All right, so I know he has a total of $90, but that has to be split up or divided up by the amount that this is going to cost. So this is going to tell me how much it's going to cost. I'm going to rewrite that. The 2 times the 4 plus 1, and then plus the 5. All right, so I need to figure out what all this is equal to before I can do this division step. So I start with the innermost parentheses right there. And I'm going to just use my whiteboard right below the problem so that I can work this out. I'm just going to lay it right up under here so that I don't have to rewrite this again. All right, I start here with the 4 plus 1 inside my parentheses. 4 plus 1 is 5. I put it right below that operation. The next thing I'm going to do is what's inside the brackets, which is the 2 times this number that I just got. All right, that's rewriting the whole thing. 2 times 5 is 10. I'm going to write the other parts of the expression, bringing down my other operations and numbers. Now I'm going to do this operation inside of my braces. 10 plus 5 is 15. And then I bring down my other number and operation. And I finally get down to 90 divided by 15. All right, now I'm thinking to myself, I got to split 90 divided by 15. So I might do this. Or I might think, okay, I know some multiples of 15 are 15, 30, 15 more would be 45, 15 more would be 55, 60, 15 more would be 60, 70, 75, and then 15 more would be 75, 85, 90. All right, so I know multiples of 15 are 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90. So that means that 15 will go into 90. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to go 6 times. All right, so 90 divided by 15 is equal to 6. So this tells me that Mr. Finn can make 6 of the gift boxes with all that lovely jewelry in it. All right, we're going to skip number 1 at the bottom, and we're going to go directly to the on your own problems and try modeling these. Okay, during a conference, a group makes the same lunch order shown in the table each day for 4 days. So here's the lunch order over in this table. Use parentheses to rewrite the numerical expression to have a value of $308. Here's my numerical expression. 4 times 8 times 6 plus 7 times 2 plus 3 times 5. All right, so first of all, I want to see, what does all this mean? Well, I can see the number of sandwiches were 8, and the cost for each one was $6. So I can see that's going to be represented by this 8 times 6. And then the fruit. There were 7 items ordered, and each of those were $2. So that was 7 times 2. And then lastly, there were 3 of the salads, and they were $5 each, represented by the 3 times 5. So what is this 4 over here for? Well, since this order happened 4 days in a row, the same order, I can multiply whatever I came up with here by 4. So I can tell that I'm going to have to multiply 4 times this entire order. Now, do I need to put parentheses around the 8 times 6 and the 7 times 2 and the 3 times 5 to separate it out from these addition problems? Well, you could, but it's not really necessary, because I know, because of order of operations, I would have to do this multiplication, and then this multiplication, and then this multiplication before I added each of those little products together. All right, so let's see if we come up with $308. You're going to need your whiteboard. All right, I'm just going to put my whiteboard right underneath my problem so I can just start working without rewriting it from the very beginning. I'm going to work inside the parentheses from left to right. I know that 8 times 6 is 48, so I'm going to put that underneath that first operation. I'm going to bring down my plus sign. 7 times 2 is 14. Bring down my plus sign. And then multiply my last 2, 3 times 5, which is 15. And I'm going to keep these all inside the parentheses. And I'm going to bring down my 4 and my operation. I still need to add these up before I multiply it by 4 because there's still some things I have to do inside that parentheses. So I'm going to stack these add-ins and add them to find the sum. I hope you notice I'm using those math words that we need to learn. All right, and I'm going to look here on and see which ones are compatible. I think it's going to be easier for me to add 5 plus 4 and get 9, and then add 9 plus 8 and get 17. So I'm going to put down my 7 and carry my 1. And I'm going to say 4, 5 plus 2 more is 7. And I get 77. I have one last step that I'm going to have to do, and that is 4 times 77. All right, and we're going to do this the old school way, as we've been calling it. We're going to put 77 times 4, and I'm going to multiply it in this manner. I'm going to say 4 times 7 is 28. Carry my 2 and put down the 8. Then 4 times 7 is 28, plus the 2 that I carried is going to be 30. All right, aren't we slick? We got the right answer. It's 308, so we're good. All right, let's move on down to the bottom part. Boys and girls, we are going to skip the reasoning part, and we're going to go right to the problems that you were solving. So let's get our whiteboard. Now, we've already solved number 4 in class today, so we're going to go right on to number 5. I'm going to attempt to just guess and check where I should put my parentheses. I know that normally I would do my 12 divided by 4 first of all, because it is division. So I'm going to try that. 8 plus 12 divided by 4 plus 2. I know 12 divided by 4 is going to be 3. I'm going to bring down my other operations and numbers. And then I'm going to add these from left to right. 8 plus blah, blah, blah. 8 plus 3 is 11. Plus 2 is 13. So that is not 10, so I know that it's going to need some parentheses in it other than just doing my order of operations. All right, so I'm going to try my parentheses in another spot and test it. I'm going to put my parentheses around the 4 plus 2. So that means I would do that first. 4 plus 2 is 6. I'm going to bring down my other operations and my numbers. And then I'm going to start all over with this brand new expression. I know that I need to do my division before I do the addition, so 12 divided by 6 is 2. Bring down my operation and my number, and I get 8 plus 2, which is 10. So yes, that works. So I know that my parentheses need to go around the 4 plus 2, so that I do that first. Okay, so just adding those parentheses can change the value of the expression. All right, let's take a look at number 6. I need to get a value of 36 from this expression. If I just do it without any parentheses at all, if I do 6 plus 5, that's what would have to go first because it is multiplication. 6 plus 5 is 30, and then the 2 plus, that's going to be 32, and then minus 4, 32 minus 4, well, that is not 36. So that's not going to work. Let's try another place for those parentheses. All right, if I do 2 plus 6 first, because normally I wouldn't do adding first, let's try it if I do that first. 2 plus 6 is 8. Bring down my other expressions and numbers. 8 times 5 is 40. Bring down my other part. 40 minus 4 is 36. All right. Let's got it. So let's put our parentheses around the 2 plus 6 so that we can make that have a value of 36. Let's move on to number 7. All right, we need a value of 22. Let me see what we got here. 2 plus 7 is 9. If I did that first, minus the 2 times 4, which is 8. 9 minus 8 is 1. So no, I'm not going to do my addition first. What if I did 7 minus 2 first? 2 plus 7 minus 2 times 4. All right, let's try that. 7 minus 2 is 5. Bring down my other operation and number. All right, now what do I do next? Do I do the 2 plus 5 or the times 4? Well, yes, I'd have to do the times 4 because multiplication takes precedence over adding. So 5 times 4 is 20. Add my 2. Yep, that is 22. So I know I would have to put my parentheses around the 7 minus 2. All right, we have a couple more. 90 minus 30 divided by 6. And I want a value of 10. All right, now if I didn't have any parentheses at all, I would have to do 30 divided by 6, which is 5, and then 9 minus 5, which would be 85. That's definitely not 10. So I need to put my parentheses around a part of the problem that I wouldn't do first. Let me try here. I know 90 minus 30 is 60. Bring down my operation and my number, and then 60 divided by 6 is 10. Good. So I know my parentheses have to go around the 90 and the 30. All right, I'm going to look at number 9. I have the problem 12 plus 24 divided by 6 minus 3, and I see that the value is going to have to be 3. If I have no parentheses at all, would I do this first? No, I wouldn't. I'm going to have to come here and do this first, so 24 divided by 6. And I know 24 divided by 6 is going to be 4. Bring down my other signs. All right, and 12 plus 4, I already know this is not going to be 3, so that's not going to work. So I'm going to just stop. All right, let me try my parentheses in another plot. Okay, if I did my 6 minus 3 first, 6 minus 3 would be 3, and then 24 divided by and 12 plus. I know 24 divided by 3 is 8, and 12 plus 8 is not 3, so that is not right. That leaves me one more place to put my parentheses. Let me put them around the 12 plus 24. All right, I know 12 plus 24 is 36. And then divided by 6 and minus 3. All right, I'm going to do my division next. 36 divided by 6 is 6. Bring down my subtract 3. 6 minus 3 is 3. All right, so that does satisfy this question. So I know my parentheses need to go around the 12 plus 24. All right, boys and girls, let's look at the last page with this lesson. And I'm going to ask you just to do one of these on this page by yourself. Look at 10, 11, 12, and 13. Pick one that you want to do. I see this one's dealing with the brackets, so you might just not do this one. You might deal with something that is like number 11 or number 13. Or if you're feeling up to it for a challenge, try this one. All right, boys and girls, I hope that was helpful. I will see you guys later. I'm going to play with finger puppets.